All right, what's up, everybody? Happy Friday. Thank you guys for being here. I got one of my good friends, Justin, with me. Justin did podcasts with me and his cousin Michael during football season. Pretty much we
Oh yeah.
got every single week done. But for those of you that are new or never saw it, Justin's here to help. It has been an emergency situation, so I really appreciate you joining. What we've decided to do, because the truth of the matter is, Justin doesn't bet every single day and doesn't put enough energy into it every day for him to be the first guy on board. So that's not what this is. But Justin does bet fairly often. Got a 3-year-old, so some days we have more time than others. But your
hmm
opinion, I'm not just saying it because you're here, but it's there's not too many people that understand sports as well as you. So I appreciate your thoughts and your takes on things. And what we'll do is we'll bullshit around once a week, kind of recap everything, and essentially, every time you have a pick, every time you have a selection, you'll let me know. We'll put it out there for people to see it with your reasoning behind it. And hopefully, you win more than you lose. And we'll have some fun with it. But I wanted to start. So that's Justin, and we'll
Yep,
get
that
into some
sounds
game.
good. I'm happy to be here.
Cool. Well, I appreciate that. First, though, I got to fall on the sword. I don't even think I told you this before, so much on my brain. I thought I pulled off the perfect middle yesterday because I told everybody the best value for Carolina was to bet them to win the West at plus 160. So first, Clemson beats Arizona, and I'm like, that's half the effing problem because now you just hedge it on Clemson. What Carolina to be favored by 6 or 7 points. So I'm like, this is perfect.
Mhm.
But I also said don't bet Carolina minus 4.5 because I just don't love it. And I don't want to do the money line because, as you know, you're no point to do minus 190, minus 200 in a basketball game. March Madness doesn't make any sense. So that was my advice for Carolina. Then it's 85-82 at the end of the game. And Nelson, the big guy on Alabama, just fuck. And I don't even like North Carolina, but he screws me up. So that's the first apology I owe everybody. And then the second apology is the freaking Iowa State never had the lead. I mean,
Mm.
they make it close. They compete at the end. I'm like, wait, just get all you have to do is make Illinois uncomfortable. And then that was my thought process throughout the game is there'd be up and down. And then eventually Iowa State would wear them out. But on the wrong side of that, then that sucks. And then the last
Yeah.
recap is I had the over for Arizona Clemson, but I did say in the pod, and I wrote that the best way to bet that game, if you're able, is to, and it's the same thing with every over, is to live, or frankly, any total. You live bet these, and you accept that, hey, if I don't make money, it's one thing, but then I'm going to get better value. So I said, if Arizona starts off slow and you get it down to 144, 145, 146, bet the over. And if they start off hot, just accept the fact. I think you're one of these people that told me that, where it's like, hey, just accept the fact that you're to make money on the game, but if you don't love the 152, nonetheless, 0-3 on that. Okay, so we're gonna
Yeah.
spin forward basketball wise. Baseball was better to me, as the Diamondbacks put the game over by themselves in one inning. That was ridiculous. And then the Orioles, I had to make one bet, Justin. I was like, what's the safest bet? And I had under 3.5 for the Angels runs. So I had to
Okay.
sweat out a little bit at the end, but that one came through. And
Yep.
the under in the first five last night with the Seattle and Boston, and just a couple extra runs than I needed. So overall, not my best first impression, but this is what I'm gonna do I'm gonna do my best, and I'm gonna have people on here that are gonna help, and appreciate people sticking with me because no matter what, I'm gonna be honest. And yesterday, the right play was Illinois. That was not really a 50-50 game. Illinois was the right play, and I feel like the Carolina bet I had was 50-50 and ended up on the wrong side of it. So it sucks, but let's try to find a way to make some money today. And okay, there goes my rant. Justin, let's start with you told me that out of the 4 games today, you really only feel good about Houston, but that's because you hate Duke. So give me an exact reason why we like Houston tonight. It's only 4 points, which seems a little
Wait.
small.
Yeah, coming into it, I thought it would be maybe around 5 or so. Uh, because I mean they were what was Houston -9 or so against Texas A&M. I thought that was kind of a little high maybe, but either way, it could be factor in. Duke looked really good. Houston had to struggle and sweat against A&M in their last opponent. But to me, I think that actually will end up helping Houston. They got their scare, hopefully, out of the way. It's a very heavy upperclassmen team on Houston. They've been here before. They got a lot of seniors and juniors, and this team has been hungry for a while to get They made the Final Four a few years ago, but this is their best team, and they want to. I mean, they have aspirations to win it all, and I think they still can. Especially not being on UConn's side of the bracket, they wouldn't meet them till the finals. But yeah, I think their big athletic guards can just do a lot of trouble to Duke. Make them uncomfortable, make them turn it over.
What type of pace does Houston, or let me reverse it for you. If Duke's going to win the game, what does that look like? How are they going to play it? And how does Duke want to play? Do they want to play fast and get the game up in the 80s and 90s, or is that dangerous against Houston?
I mean, yeah, Duke's gameplay, I feel like they might want to play fast. It's kind of what's benefited them, and they should. I mean, like a lot of college teams, they shoot a lot of threes. They're going to want to make a lot. I forget which player they had last week against James Madison. Someone on Duke was just on fire. He couldn't miss. I don't know if it was Roach or one of their other guards.
They had whatever happened. That game ended real fast.
It
James,
was over in like the first 10 minutes. But
so
they
you
couldn't miss. I mean, I don't see them doing that kind of thing at all against Houston, and what Houston can bring. So I think, yeah, like I said, Houston can make them uncomfortable early, kind of hopefully set the tone. And I could be wrong. I've honestly, I've probably been 50-50 in this tournament games. I've bet on a lot of them. Been right a lot, been wrong a lot. But yeah, this is one I had circled that I wanted to get Houston on any small number if it was under 5 or so.
funny that you circled that one because I circled that one immediately as I can't bet it because I can't stand anything Duke related. So I feel like I'm unbiased. I was listening to somebody earlier who said the
Mhm.
best advice is to find a baseball, basketball, or football team that you literally could care less about, that you have no emotion, and then just follow that team and just bet that team only because you won't overvalue or undervalue them because you don't have the emotion. And that's just like, as soon as I heard that, I was like, where are those teams that I could never do? It's like Pittsburgh, Yankees, Duke. Like, so that's a game that I
Well,
personally have a take on that one. Go ahead.
yeah, and that makes sense. And on the other side of it, like Houston, I have no affiliation, like them or not like them, but I had, and obviously they've been really good this year for a while now, but it was probably in January, February or so. In my mind, I was like, all right, if anyone besides UConn is going to win it all, it's Houston. I put a future on them back then. I mean, they're one of the top teams. It's nothing special to put a future on them right now.
Well, that's what I
But
said
yeah,
about
they were a team I had circled, and so it didn't. I don't know if it mattered who they were playing, but I do think they match up well against Duke.
and that's exactly how I felt about Carolina. And they let me down yesterday. So, all right, that's a game. I'm probably I'll look at it a little bit more, but I feel like I'll be too emotional. I'm actually really curious to see how that game plays out because I don't know how good Duke's guards are, and I guess we will find out tonight. So let's go over the other three,
Yeah.
even though you don't have strong opinions. NC State's the only. Well, now that Clemson beat Arizona, I guess that's turned into a Cinderella. But NC State's the only double-digit seed.
Yep.
Plus 7.5. Forget the spread. The way you're supposed to analyze these games first and foremost, in my opinion, is do you think the underdog has a chance? Like before
Right.
you can look at the spread. So why don't we start with that? Would it shock you if NC State won the game tonight?
Not really. I don't think so. I mean, they've just been playing really good basketball. Obviously, they have to contain the guards on Marquette. I don't think it would shock me at this point.
So
Um,
and for me in this particular game, you look at the number and it's really hard to swallow those points with Marquette because whether it's the injuries or whether it's the inconsistent play, and then they screwed a lot of people over with the Colorado game last week. They either pushed it or some people got 4.5 or
I
5.
liked Colorado, so that was a funny. I don't know if you saw that exact ending, but Colorado like was down 4, ended up shooting a crazy 3, and like they just didn't even foul Marquette, which I was happy with because I had Colorado plus, yeah, like 4.5.
Yeah, so I've seen most of the analysis I've seen has been, take the points, take the points, take the points. My feeling on this game and the reason it's hard for me to handicap the game is I don't know how NC State wants to play. So I remember watching the NC State Carolina game and it was like, man, NC State's just keeping up with them. And then I watched the way the Oakland game's playing out, and I'm leaning over instead of anything else. I look at the
Mhm.
151.5 because I do see it being close, but close could mean 5 or 6 and turns into 9 or 10. So
Yeah, and I mean, obviously Marquette can score. They got some really good scorers on their team.
and Marquette wants to play fast because
Yes,
you got to get the big guy. I mean, first, what's that guy? Burns. He's a blast on NC State. The big guy.
NC State.
Yeah, he's having a big. He's always having a lot of fun. And if you're Marquette, get him in foul trouble, get him running up and down the court. So I
Yeah,
wonder. I think that what my ultimate analysis on this game is going to be the same as the Clemson Arizona, which is I like the over if you made me bet before the game, but I'd much rather see a couple missed shots early because everybody's nervous. Remember, this is the first time they're playing in this gym. So Saturday and Sunday,
Yeah.
there's familiarity with the gym. So I do, if I'm going to give out an over, it's almost like a disclaimer in these college games. Just let the first 5, 6 minutes play out. Not Carolina, Alabama's first 5, 6 minutes. That turns into a track
Yeah.
meet.
I mean, Alabama's a different story.
Right.
Their over unders are literally
NBA.
almost NBA over unders.
All right, let's go to the next one. Because this one I think draws the most like polarizing opinions out of all the games because you either love Purdue or you hate Purdue. And Gonzaga, no one really wanted to pick Gonzaga this year. This was like they're off the radar. McNeese
Yeah.
State as the 12 seed was the most popular 12 that I saw. And then Gonzaga's fucking excuse my language. Sorry about that. They destroyed Kansas.
Yeah. I mean, it
They're
was a close
down
game for
by
a while, and then Lord Gonzaga went on like a 19-0 run to
and
the
start the
beginning of
half.
the second half, and it was over in a heartbeat.
Was that a reflection on Kansas? These two teams played early in the year, and Purdue squeaked it out. How do you see this game playing out? Which kind of tempo? Just what's your overall feelings on this one?
I mean, I'll be honest with both these teams. I have not liked them. I've been wrong. I think I bet against both teams in so far in the tournament. So clearly, I've gotten some of that stuff wrong. I didn't like either team very much going to the tournament, but the more I've watched Purdue, I mean, they seem like a different animal than they've been the previous couple of years when they were kind of choking away the high seeds and losing to all these other underdogs. They actually can. Besides Edie, they have some good players that could score the ball. As you can see in the over under, it's with 154. That's a high total. They know these teams can score. Um, so yeah, like I said, I've been pretty wrong about these teams. That's why I'm totally staying away from this game.
Yeah,
But yeah, Purdue, they could be another team on a mission. This is like their last chance to kind of make a run into the Final Four and into the championship.
kind of feel that the Purdue. I feel like this game and the Marquette game are going to play out similarly, where
Uh-huh.
it'll be right around the number. I think the number. I don't see a ton of value either, but I do think Purdue wins the game. I think Gonzaga. I think Kansas was really exhausted in the first half. I'm more
And
focused.
yeah, they were exhausted. They after playing a game 2 days before, and we knew they didn't have any depth, especially without McCullers. So they probably just ran out of gas. I mean, Gonzaga look better than they
Whereas
like
that was,
to.
yeah, and I was gonna say, whereas the first half when Kansas, they were up by one. So I do think
Yeah.
I just don't like giving those points with Purdue because Purdue is like an anxious team. Like if things Purdue reminds me of like a really like a front running team when things are going the right way, great. But as soon as they can't get the ball inside, and their point guard to me is a little emotional. Not my favorite player. So I don't love the value there. Frankly, I think my favorite. This is like my favorite game of the night, but the number keeps going up, and I don't know if they're trying to talk me out of it or not, but this Creighton Tennessee game, I feel like it's going to go over because Tennessee plays more to the style of their opponent. So
Mhm.
last was it against Texas in the last round, the under hit easily. I think I told people I like the under in that game because I did like the under. I hope I said it out loud because Texas slow, slow, slow. So you
Yeah.
watch Texas against Colorado State, it was like 27-11 at halftime, which, by the way, is bad karma for the Colorado State people that were teasing the Virginia people for not scoring 2 nights
Yeah, and then
before.
they scored pretty much what Virginia had at halftime against them.
They had less. They had actually less.
Well,
So
the Virginia had 14 and Colorado State had 11.
11, right? So anyway, I looked at the tempo and I'm like, oh, Texas, you're going to just get bullied. Whereas Creighton is fun to watch, man. That Oregon Creighton game was fantastic.
That was that. I'm just gonna throw a betting disclaimer. Whoever had Oregon, that's a bad beat. I had Oregon, and just going into double overtime, and then they just get
What
crushed in
about the
double
under
overtime.
in that game? The under
That
that's a
too.
ballsy play. Nobody wants to take the under when both teams scored 80 some points in the first round. Oregon scored 87 against South Carolina. So I looked
Yeah,
at the total. I think when it first came out, let me pull it up real quick. Because right now, when I was beginning to talk about it, it was 145 and a half.
yeah. That's what I right now. That's what I see. I don't remember what it started at, but I also remember Tennessee was not as big of a favorite as they are now. It's at 3.5.
Yeah, and I remember seeing it 143 and a half. I'd have to go back to see if it was anything lower than that. I favoring Creighton here, And it's interesting because I didn't love Creighton against Oregon. I was more so I didn't love the way they played, but if you go back and look at that game, Creighton missed. They were 4 for 20 in the first half. I watched every second of that game, and they had all these open threes. They just missed every single open three.
Yep.
Tennessee is extremely athletic, but I feel like Creighton is used to that in the beginning. It's not like Creighton's a mid-major and this is the first time they've seen a super athletic defense. And I think the total going up reflects that the speed and the pace is going to be at Creighton's, desire. So I'm
Mhm.
going back and forth. By the time we finish, what's it about 1:30? I'll get this out in a couple hours. I want to I mean, college basketball, if there's so many people that are passionate about it. So if you really want to do the right research, you can get some really good insights from people. So by the time I finish, I'm going to lean towards probably taking both of them. I'll decide whether, Creighton and the over. I'll decide which one I like the most. The more I'm talking about it, I feel like I like Creighton because Tennessee
Yeah,
might.
that's what it sounds like you're heading towards.
Yeah, because Tennessee maybe they might play fast, but Tennessee doesn't. I just love that connect kid, so I feel like he'll score a lot, and it'll just be a back and forth game. So the 3.5 feels juicy, and the over feels good there. The team total for Creighton's over feels good. It's the last game of the night, so I do have more time to dive into it. What are
Yeah.
your
Speaking of last games of the night, I'm just gonna throw out a random opinion. It has nothing to do with betting, but why are these games so late? It's really bothering me. I can't like
you have a 3-year-old now
I
you're
have a 3-year-old. I have a job. On the weekend's slightly different, but like to be honest, I didn't stay up for the second halves of those games last night. The second ones.
that's why we're bringing you on as the expert.
Luckily I have YouTube TV, and I literally watched the last 10 minutes of the Bama Carolina game this morning because you
It
can
is
you can
late.
record all the games. And you have unlimited DVR, but yeah, it's just crazy. Same thing happened last week. Like some of these games are ending well past midnight, and it's like
You've never lived on the West. I guess the only answer I can say is you've never lived on the West Coast.
I haven't. It sounds nice. For some reasons, games can end at a freaking normal time.
You're taking me back to all right. Now we'll go down. Do you remember the Miles Simon Arizona team that Maryland was like the 4 or 5 seed? We played them out west in the Sweet 16, and the game
Yeah,
started
was that like late 90s?
late 90s, probably early 2000s. Jeez, that was such a long time. But the game started. I remember the reason I remember is because the game wasn't going to start till late at night. But it was probably the second game, and Arizona's the 1 seed, and I don't
Yeah,
think we ever made it. We got blown out of that game. That was the
sounds
year
right.
Arizona. God, that was the late 90s. Who did Arizona? That was the Miles Simon against Kentucky, maybe.
Yeah, that was the last time Arizona won it all.
All right. Wow. Okay. So where were we? Creighton, Tennessee. If you had to make a bet on that, and then we'll get into some Orioles and
And the
baseball
game's gonna
stuff.
start at 10:30, and have fun staying up.
Do you have
But
a?
I want to though, because these games are good.
I was
These
gonna
are
say,
good
do you have an
games.
opinion one way or the other on the Creighton Tennessee game, or not really?
The only thing I can say is I have before the tournament I put a future on Creighton to win that region, so I gotta say Creighton.
All right, let's move on to the Orioles for a minute, and then I know you got to go in about 10 minutes, so I'll let you run. But let's do a little on the Orioles, and then I want you to get some baseball thoughts out because all summer long, you'll be, some NBA playoffs. Obviously, betting the NBA right this second, it's a little, it's like a crapshoot. But
Yeah.
whenever you have something, you'll send it out. I know you play golf all the time. You'll have opinions on golf, so it'll be cool to get your thoughts. But why don't we just let's start with I don't want to turn this into an Orioles podcast, and I feel like if we start talking too much, we'll be here forever. So let's keep it a little gambling related because yesterday
Mhm.
was amazing. After yesterday, moving forward, what's like the betting strategy with the Orioles? Because they're when they're the big favorite. Just go ahead. What's the betting strategy?
Yeah, no, I have a couple opinions there, and I'm gonna throw it out there and give myself a pat on the back. I'm pretty sure last year when the Orioles were semi under the radar, we were coming up, but I would guess we were still an underdog more often than not. I bet on the Orioles every single game last year, all 162.
Really?
I did, and most of the time, like I said, we were an underdog, so I would get the plus money. Obviously, baseball season's long. We have 61 losses, so I definitely lost some of the time too. But so that was my strategy all year last year. It was just I'm gonna bet the Orioles. I think we're really good. We're market wise, we're under the radar, and
You can't do that
so
this year.
that's what I did. This year it's gonna be a little different, especially when we're the home team against not like we're starting with the Angels and Royals. Each game, I know yesterday we were like minus 190. We'll probably be at least that each of these first few games. One of the strategies I like, it's kind of a conservative play, but it's like a kind of, you can't lose if we win the game, is a lot of these apps give you an option to do -1. I know it's not a normal baseball thing. It's usually money line, like whoever wins, or -1.5, +1.5.
Mhm.
But there is usually an option that's -1 that's kind of in between the juice. So like yesterday, even though we blew them out, still an option, but it goes between the money line, which was -190. I think the run line was +110, +120. But if you wanted to not uh, bet
Pay
-1.5, which I personally don't love to do, especially as a
No, you
home team.
cannot do, I'm interrupting.
I
You
don't love to do it
literally
as a home team.
can't do it. No, you can't do it even if they're the road team. You can't do it if they're the home team. You can't spend this Orioles season being upset when the Orioles win because you lost money. It'll ruin
Right. That's another aspect of it too, which gives me even more of a reason to like when we're big favorites to utilize the -1. So if we win by 1, oh well, we still won the game.
All right, so let's put a
At
pin
least you
on
don't
that.
lose the
So wait,
bet, and it
hold
ends up
on.
being kind of in between. So yesterday -1 was like -138, so it's
So
not that much juice you have to pay.
hang on for 1 second so we can make sure I explain that.
Yeah.
So normally it's -1.5 or it's the money line. You're
Yes.
saying that on these apps now you can find it right in the
You can
middle.
find any spread you want usually. I
Perfect.
know DraftKings has it. I use FanDuel as well.
So if you
And
do
a lot of
minus
the apps give you the option. Pretty much you can set your own spread.
right, and if you do -1, you can't lose essentially because
If
they
we
can't.
win by 1, you don't lose.
And then
Or if
what
the
I'm
team you bet
saying,
on wins by 1, you don't lose. And
right,
if they, yeah, so at least it's
and
not
what
a
I'm
lose.
saying is you don't want to have a situation with the Orioles or frankly any team that you like, but especially the
Yeah.
Orioles this year. -1 takes all the fun away from it because they're going to win a lot of close games by 1 run. All right, so that's one strategy. What's the second strategy?
The second strategy I was gonna say
Player
is,
props, team totals.
and I did this. Well, there's a couple of things, but I did this last year a lot too with the Orioles when we had a lot of comebacks. But I mean, and it's gonna take time to follow these teams, kind of see where they're at a lot of times. But a lot of times the Orioles were down early in games last year, and with these apps, you can literally bet live anything you want. So if and say we're a road team, and we don't score in the top of the first inning, the odds get adjusted in the middle
Oh,
of the
before
first
they
inning.
even score in the first, you're just saying, oh, I like that.
Yes, there's a bunch of different things. Anything can happen in a game. We could be down 4-0 in the third inning, but you get great odds that with the spread or even the money line, throw a couple bucks. We could be +300. We're
Wait,
down 4-0 early.
hang on for a second. I think you said something that I never thought of, and I really think I've thought almost every bet through. So if
Yeah.
I like the Orioles and they're on the road, and the
Yep.
reason I like the Orioles is because Burns is pitching, and I feel good about it. Okay,
Hmm.
Burns is going up against Sandoval, just like yesterday, except the
Sure.
games are reversed. We're in Anaheim, and the
Hmm.
Orioles come out and they're -160. Sound about right?
Yeah. If that game was in LA last night, yeah, I'd say that's about right.
Okay. All right. So, top of the first, Orioles come up, 3 strikeouts, 3 up, 3 down, a ground out, 2 flyouts, however you want to do it. Crowd's rocking, Angels are excited. I still think we're going to win the game. That -160 is probably down to -135, might
Hmm.
even go down to -125 because you're in a
Goes down regardless. Yes.
yeah, because you're now saying, all right, was my bet based on the fact the Orioles were going to score in the top of the first inning? No, my bet was based on the fact that the
We won the game.
Orioles, that Corbin Burns. So maybe I don't want to pay the -160. And so then back to what I was saying about Carolina, if the Orioles score 4 runs in the first inning, say fuck it, I didn't make any money,
But you
but
didn't
I
lose.
didn't lose any money, right? So now
Right.
the odds are not in my favor; they're -950. Now I got to sit there and just let it go because all right, so that's an Orioles strategy. I like that.
Orioles or any team that's favored a lot of
Yeah,
times,
obviously,
and
right?
you're not
Yeah.
going to want to pay the juice right away. Like, yeah, if they're a road team, there's benefits to it. If they don't end up scoring in the first inning, you get better
The Braves
odds.
are playing. I mean, I think the game already started on the scores, but Strider was pitching today.
That doesn't
The,
start till 3. So,
that one doesn't start till third.
but
The Mets.
yes, same thing there.
There you go. So that's a perfect
They're a
example.
slight favorite to start the game, but if you like the Braves and you want to wait it out, if the Braves don't score against Wheeler in the first inning, which is
And the
pretty
reason,
likely,
Justin, the reason
then you get
that's
Atlanta even in the bottom of the first.
and the thing about baseball that is unbelievable, like that you can't predict, is think about it. The pitcher had 5 days to get ready for the game, and then did God knows what all day long to get ready. The first inning is almost impossible to predict, right? But like once you see him pitch, and Burns yesterday is the perfect
You
example.
can see he had it.
Yeah, you can just see it, and it's like, oh, I don't need to hesitate. And a lot of these It depends on how good your opinion is. It depends on how much time you want to spend on this.
Yeah,
Justin will bet $20 on some of these games and leave it alone. So like the strategies that we're giving out are more so, trying to encourage people that if you want to spend the time and you have the energy to do it, I think there's ways to get an edge, but you can't do it by betting 10, 12 games a day and thinking you can look at two or three metrics and boom. Because then it's just random. You'll win, you'll lose, but in the long run, the juice will eat you alive. So you have to be selective. All right. Besides Orioles, give me some hot takes for the whole season. Maybe some teams that you're typically that you're higher on, and some teams you're lower on.
sure. And I want to make sure we have time at the end. I do have a couple other things to say just about betting in general with all the apps and access that people have
Why don't you
at
do
their
that now? Then?
disposals now.
Do that
I
now.
mean,
Don't forget.
yeah, okay. I just have opinions on that. So I'm on like yeah, like I said, DraftKings, FanDuel, MGM, all these different ones. And I have found it to be important to one line shop. You can find what if you have an opinion, you like a game, you can look through each of the apps, see what the odds are. Orioles, let's just use Orioles as an example yesterday. They might be minus 190 on one app, but they might be minus 180 on another. That's already a $10 difference right there. They might be minus 175. So I would always shop around if you have the time just to quickly look at the different apps on the kind of the bet you're looking to make and just seeing which one is most favorable for you. I think that in the long run, especially, can be important to your bankroll. And then also utilize the promotions and the boosts and all the things that the apps give you because even a 25% boost on a game, even though they usually limit how much you can spend on it, if you're not a big bettor, just like I'm not, I'm betting 10, 15, $20 on a game. The boost can be helpful. Another thing in the long run, you get 25% boost, you get free $10 bet where it's no risk. So you can get a little riskier with it and get like put in maybe in a parlay or plus 200 underdog or something like that. So that's the opinions I have on all these new apps that they come out with. And they want you to bet, but kind of be smart about it and utilize
I've been saying that,
the
Justin.
different features to your advantage.
It's not going to last forever. Eventually, these apps will get consolidated because that's just the way big
Yeah,
business.
and they'll probably give out less and less bonuses and all those things. But yes, I'm using them all I can for sure. I think that's just it's a smart strategy.
All right, so go ahead. Appreciate you saying that. And
Yeah.
is it the Dodgers suck? The Braves suck. The Royals are going to win the World Series. The A's are going to stay in Oakland. Like, what's a hot take here for baseball?
Yeah, hot takes I have. I mean, it's when we kind of
None
talked
of
about
those
it
four,
with,
by the way, I'm on the record just so we're clear. I didn't think any of those four, especially I think the least likely is the A's thing in Oakland. But there you
no,
go.
I mean, and that's not even a betting thing. That's just a general baseball thing.
They stayed in the parking lot yesterday. People, you gotta go find like media on that. It's not, I wish I knew how to upload the media in real time as we're recording because that'd be.
Yeah.
But they literally just stayed in the parking lot. It's just fantastic.
What
All right,
did they have a home game? People just didn't go in.
exactly. All right, go ahead. What do we like?
Yeah, a couple opinions I have, and I've obviously I've grown up not liking the Yankees, but I'm fading them a little bit this year. For whatever reason, I got them at a good time. I put in a team total under 94 and a half. I think I mean, now's even before the Cole news happened. I don't know how long he's going to be out. Um, but I think they're down to like, it was 90 or 91, right about what the Orioles projection was. Obviously the Yankees are good, but I don't trust their pitching to take them that far and win them that many games. I think it could be a homer in me, but I think the Orioles definitely are the better team between the two. And just being in the AL East, there's a lot of tough competition. I'll find them losing more games than they might have been projected for. So I'll be looking to fade them a little bit throughout the year, just depending on who they're playing and the matchups and everything like that.
What else you got?
Another team I don't really love, and it's a very crowded division, is the Brewers. I don't even know what their team total
I
is.
think it was
Honestly, might have been
76,
around
a
500, maybe a little less.
little less.
Uh, I don't I'm not really sure what to think about them and so
Can I just tell
them
you,
too with the starting
you
pitchers. I
can't
think they
make.
only Peralta,
Listen,
Woodruff is
hang on,
hurt,
hang on 1 second. You
and
said
Williams is hurt. Yeah.
literally you said that as they just hit into a double play. Like to be the I'm looking. I was trying to find
You
something.
what? Yeah.
I was trying to find the base. I didn't mean to. But I just could not help it. I'm literally trying to find baseball odds, and I hit the refresh button. I was like, oh, it's first and third with one out, and now the inning's over. And I was like, sorry, but this is just too funny because you're like, all right, so you don't like the Brewers as they decide to hit a double play.
Yeah. And then
Yeah,
I don't like the team they're playing either, the Mets.
I like the Mets. I told
Do
people
you?
yesterday I had the Mets plus one. What did I get? 170 to make the playoff. Why don't you? They got rid of Buck Showalter, the worst decision maker. And let me stop. But I don't want to be negative today. We're in a positive. We're in a new era. But I still have not. I've had a hard time getting over that. And they have no more
Yeah.
him. And all their guys are on like whatchamacallit. Alonso's on the last year of his free agency. You don't like the
What's their
Mets?
staff? Same thing with them. What's their staff looking like? Like
Yeah,
Quintana's their opening day starter, and maybe they got a couple injuries.
yeah. They got to survive a little bit. But I think
Where I'm and not to throw out my random lack of knowledge here, but where's Verlander this year?
I thought he's in the same spot. He's not still in Houston.
I don't know.
There you go.
Because
We're gonna have to put him
he's been
in.
so back and forth between Mets, Astros. It's kind of funny.
Whatchamacallit, I don't like the Phillies though this year. I think that's part of the reason that I'm down on I'm higher on the Mets.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's on the Astros.
Okay. Either way. Um, and I don't know the Mets projections either. They're probably a lot lower than they were last year, so it's not a bad idea to kind of ride
82, yeah,
them low now.
yeah, exactly.
81, you said?
It was 82 and a half.
Okay, so right around 500 for them too.
Give me a team then you like. Come on, you're down the Yankees, you're down the Mets. Let's be positive. Who's winning the AL Central? Is it a surprise in there? You got the NL Central as a
Well,
surprise.
yeah, it's funny you bring up the Centrals, and I don't know how popular picks these are. They probably are kind of popular because they've been kind of just waiting in the wind. One of them being the Tigers. I feel like they've been waiting to bust out, and like all the pundits have liked the way they've ended years, so that in the next year they're picking them to win 80, 85 games, all that stuff, and they haven't done it yet. But I think this is the year that they pull through. I don't know if they'll win the division, but I like their team total wins over, and I think they'll do a little damage.
He was ranked the top. I think he was ranked eighth in what I was looking at. I mean, there's all these publications, but he's one of the top 10 pitchers in baseball.
Yeah, they got some good top prospects and some guys that are young coming onto the roster. So I like them this year in that weak division. And then on the other side, NL Central, I like the Cubs. Um, I mean, it's a very wide open division. So I'll say, yeah, the Cubs win the division and over their total too. Kind of like what they're doing over there.
And I'm with you tonight. Yeah, I want to make sure because I know you got to roll in a second. And I kept you for good. We'll finish on this now because you told me you
You're
like
good.
the one game that you liked tonight was Houston.
Yep.
They're playing the Yankees. That kind of fits what you were just talking about. It's Javier against Rodon. Rodon's first start in 12 years. Like, what's going on here with him? I love Javier. He's a fantastic
He's
pitcher. So,
very good. Yeah, and like yeah, besides Cole, I mean, I didn't foresee Cole getting hurt, but the Yankees have no one besides Cole. So that's why I don't like them.
yeah, so you like the Ashers tonight will be a game you'll actually bet. So you'll give a little write up on that. So for people that didn't listen to the full podcast, that'll be the first game that Justin is on the record for. And then what we'll do, just to recap what I said in the beginning, and then I'll let you go, Justin, is anytime that Justin has a game that he likes, he'll provide me the reasoning for it, send it
Yep.
over to me, and I'll send it over to you guys.
Yeah, and like you said, it'll be a lot of baseball. It's one of my favorite top sports. But with NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, golf masters, all this stuff coming up, I like to dabble in them all. So it could be anything.
Yeah, and I was gonna say you write very well, so it'll be very clear why you pick what you pick. And frankly, there's gonna be 2, 3, 4 days go by at a time during the summer where there are no games because I asked him nicely to do this, but I also don't want games just to have games.
Yeah,
Obviously,
I'm not betting
and
every single game every day. So yeah,
you'll have an but what I was gonna say is you have an opinion on every. There's a whole big difference. Like we could talk for 10 minutes and you could give me your picks, but frankly, that's not gonna help anybody. All right. So before I leave, it's been an interesting week, to say the least. Thank you. Okay, yeah, let me stay focused. All right, thanks to everybody. Appreciate it because I promised myself to continue to stay positive about everything. So if you hear anything or if you want me to elaborate, you're gonna have to contact me privately because I refuse to do anything but be positive on here. Gambling is supposed to be fun, and I'm gonna make it fun. If you're here, if you're listening to me, it would be more fun if the people on here provide winners. I'm extremely aware of that. Trust me. I am going. That's why I'm in the interview process because I'm not going to just bring on somebody. So Justin's the most reliable person I know that can come on here and provide good advice, sound advice. But frankly, yeah, I want to make sure we have a handful of people. So every day you guys can get takes from people that you respect. Some days, some people don't play. Some people play more than others. and we're gonna get there. So just hang with me. As far as the tournament tonight, I will do a write up of what I like, but I hate to say it. I feel like it'll be easier to bet tomorrow and Sunday. So I feel like these games, I'm more so advising live betting and watching because it's hard to have a firm opinion on these games when it's been 5 days and I don't know exactly what they're going to look like. I feel like once I watch Thursday and Friday, Saturday and Sunday is easier. So I'll be
Yeah,
here.
you stick to your opinions, and yeah, if you think you want to see them play once and see what they're gonna do Saturday, Sunday, being in the gym, second game, then yeah, go with that.
It's easier.
Nothing wrong with it.
That's why I thought Carolina was the value. I hate that my first day giving out my games didn't go the right way, but it is what it is.
Plenty of days left.
There you go. I'll be back in the morning for sure. I don't know exactly who'll be here every day for the moment, but worst comes worst, it'll be me by myself. But I will be here. Appreciate you guys, Justin. Thank you. Owe you big time.
No
And
problem.
everybody today. And have a great day. See ya.
Yep. Talk to you soon.